An assassin, disguised as a holy man, approached Nizam al-Mulk, a local leader, as he was being carried in a carriage by his guards. Without fear of the repercussions, and before the guards could act in defense, the assassin fatally stabbed Nizam in the chest. The assassin's reputation for deception and swift kills spread like wildfire through the 12th century. They were highly trained to use both their reflexes and assassination skills to complete their missions, using a specific weapon, a curved knife with a poisoned blade. Professor James Watterson has spent much of his academic life investigating and researching the lives of the assassins. He confirms they were expert knife handlers who were trained to strike fast with extreme stealth.
The Ismaili assassin's choice of weapon obviously was the dagger, and the dagger holds a number of advantages for them. They're going to get close to their victim anyway because they don't care about surviving the attack. Also, with a dagger, you can confirm the kill. Sure, it's going to be safer using a sword to be at arm's length, but with a dagger, this is the way that you finish people off and kill them on the battlefield as well. And of course, a dagger is going to be easy to conceal. Our assassins are disguised. They're disguised as holy men. They're disguised as ambassadors. They're disguised as bodyguards of the sultans that they're actually going to dispatch and murder.
Knives are still highly prized items in the Middle East. Abdel Razak Abu Muhayzin is a third-generation knife maker based in Amman, Jordan.
My family makes the knife since 5 generations, since my great-grandfather learned how to make a knife. Well, yes, to make a good knife, you should choose the good steel. It should be solid, flexible, not too heavy. Well, the best knife for Hashashin to kill is the double-edged sharp knife, or dagger.
The dagger that an Ismaili assassin would have used is a double-edged blade. That means that you can stab down into the victim between, if he's wearing a chainmail coif that covers the neck and head, and then an armored breastplate, you can get in between that with the double-edged blade and stab downwards. But also, of course, you can slash as well. It could be that you've got to fight your way into your victim. We know that when they were attempting to kill the Sultan Saladin, they had to fight past several bodyguards to get into the room to kill him. That would have been a slashing motions to clear the way, and then the stab down. So double-edged, very strong blade, and we know that the steel made in the Islamic world at this time was of a high-intensity, strong steel, carbon steel blade, and again, an ability to slash and also to stab down too.
According to early written sources, the first of many political murders by the sect took place in 1092. An assassin, disguised as a holy man, approached Nizam al-Mulk, a local leader, as he was being carried in a carriage by his guards. Without fear of the repercussions, and before the guards could act in defense, the assassin fatally stabbed Nizam in the chest.
At this point, the assassin just stands absolutely stock still. He doesn't care about the fact that the guards are closing in on him and they're going to kill him. He's completed his mission, and in fact, his sacrifice being killed by the guards is part of that blood rite that's so important to the assassin modus operandi.
For somebody sent out from the assassins to do a killing, should he survive it, that was shameful. If he survived it, it was often because he had failed. It was probably because he was caught.
With the assassins, we have all those elements of a secret society. They are clear-minded about the mission.
They spent months, long periods of time, getting close to their victims, and then at that point, seizing the moment to carry out the murder.
If we have assassin sleeper cells that are waiting for the order from the Grand Master to actually undertake a political killing at the right time and at an appropriate juncture, then how do you get those messages to those sleeper cells, and how do you keep sleeper cells safe? This is through the lay followers of the faith. Merchants, we know, were very commonly Ismailis, and of course merchants enjoy free passage throughout the Islamic Empire. Also, the movement of money in the Islamic Empire was relatively simple and straightforward. Our word check is an invention of the Islamic word sak. It means I could draw money in a bank in Alexandria, even if the bank is somewhere in Western Persia. So these are the underpinning structures through which the assassin can move relatively freely to get safety, then to get close to his target, and then for the Grand Masters to send that message so that not only is the killing going to take place, but it's going to take place at the right strategic moment for the Grand Master.
The message they were trying to leave was, you're not safe. You think you're safe. Because in those days, they had the same philosophy that infested the Middle Ages all the way through, that they were higher, they were surrounded by their own personal bodyguard and their personal troops, and the message they were getting was, it doesn't matter if we want to kill you, you're dead.
The Order of the Assassins were a highly feared Muslim medieval killing force who carried out targeted assassinations of Middle Eastern leaders in the 11th and 12th centuries. Their leader was a semi-mythical figure, Hassan Isaba, who used a wide range of training techniques, including the use of meditation and the drug hashish. Primarily, their targets were leaders of rival Muslim sects, who they saw as not as devout as themselves, or who had transgressed from the strict observance of their faith. The assassins operated as small 1- or 2-man teams, who struck without warning and often without detection. One of their most infamous encounters was a deadly threat that was sent to the Turkish Sultan Saladin, the ruler of Egypt at the end of the 12th century. But rather than killing him, they relied on psychological intimidation.
These guys are now the world's elite political assassins. And a great example of that is when they chose not to kill, but to incite fear.
The Ismaili assassins, this time in Syria, they had a Grand Master called Sinar. He knew that even if he killed Saladin, there would be a replacement. One of his brothers would replace him, Saifuddin, for example, or one of his sons, or even one of his nephews, and that they would still face a formidable foe. So what he attempted to do, the Grand Master in Syria, was to bring Saladin to a point of negotiation. And he did this through psychological terror.
This incredibly powerful man, Saladin, while he was laying siege to a Syrian city, very close to where the assassins were in the west, he awoke one morning, rolled over, and found, to his horror, an assassin dagger in the sand next to him.
Waking up beside a dagger implanted in the earth beside his bed with a short note saying that we already hold you, we can take you at any time.
Imagine the fear. How could they possibly have penetrated our security? How did that happen? They must be everywhere. The psychological fear totally changed the Sultan's behavior and policy. Result achieved. Nobody had to die. But he got exactly what he wanted, the Grand Master did.